Chosen one, this message didn't find you by accident. God led you here for a reason. This is a divine alert, a sacred whisper sent from the throne room of heaven to your spirit. Because what you're about to do next isn't just another step. It's a spiritual assignment. It's not meant for attention, applause, or outside approval. It's not a public announcement. It's a private instruction. God is shifting something so significant in your life. But it requires your silence, your discernment, and your obedience. You've been asking for a sign, for a confirmation, for direction. And now that it's coming, God is saying, move, but tell no one. This next move is for your eyes only. And in the stillness of obedience, heaven will make the loudest statement on your behalf. Let's break this down into 7 chapters for full understanding. Before we dive deep, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Because this message isn't just content, it's a divine confirmation wrapped in a spiritual instruction. This is for the chosen ones who know they're standing on the edge of something sacred, something private, something ordained. And to everyone who's been supporting through super thanks, may God richly bless you. Your presence, your loyalty, and your faithfulness have not gone unnoticed, neither by me nor by heaven. If your spirit resonates with this word, type 77 in the comments right now. That number isn't random. It's a prophetic signal that you're in alignment. 77 represents divine preparation, double completion, and the unseen instructions God is downloading to your spirit. Because this next move, it's not for social media. It's not for validation. It's for your eyes only. God has hidden something powerful in plain sight, and only the obedient will see it manifest. This isn't just encouragement. It's an encrypted release from heaven. Come back and watch it whenever you feel uncertain, because each replay will reveal another layer of the strategy God is assigning to you. Let's go deeper. Chapter 1, God trusts you with secrecy. Chosen one, not everyone is trusted with divine secrecy, but you are. This message didn't find you by accident. God led you here because there's something sacred about how you've handled what He's shown you. You didn't post about it. You didn't seek attention for it. You carried it in silence like a soldier under divine command. And in that silence, heaven took notice. There are things you've seen, heard, discerned, and even dreamed that you've never spoken aloud. Not because you didn't have the urge to speak, but because your spirit understood the weight of revelation. You've come to understand that not every insight is meant to be shared. Some are meant to be carried. Some are meant to be protected like treasure in a vault. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you chosen. You didn't share your vision with people who couldn't handle it. You didn't cast your pearls before you didn't post every prophetic download you received. Instead, you covered it in prayer. You let God confirm things in the spirit before ever thinking about announcing them in the natural. And that kind of restraint is rare, especially in a world where people crave likes, attention, and recognition. But you craved alignment. You've matured past the need to be seen. You've evolved beyond the need to prove yourself. And because of that, God knows He can whisper mysteries to you without fear of betrayal. You've become a safe space, a spiritual vault. Heaven has scanned your heart and found it clean, private, and trustworthy. That's not just maturity. That's divine responsibility. And you didn't complain about being left out of rooms you used to pray to be in, because deep down your spirit knew God was hiding you for preservation, not punishment. What looked like delay was actually divine discretion. What felt like rejection was heaven's way of shielding the treasure inside you. And what you carried silently will speak loudly in due season. You didn't curse the quiet season. You consecrated it. You didn't resent the hidden path. You respected it. You understood that God's most powerful instructions often come in whispers, not shouts. That's why you took notes when others were making noise. That's why God is getting ready to reward you in a way that can't be replicated or explained, only revealed. Secrecy in the spirit isn't about hiding. It's about honoring. It's about understanding that sacred things lose power when handled casually. And you, chosen one, have handled God's instructions with reverence. That's why He's about to trust you with more. The next move God has shown you is coded in secrecy for a reason. It's not meant for public announcement. It's meant for private execution. Don't let the lack of applause fool you. You're not being overlooked. You're being entrusted. God is guarding what He's building in you, because if it's revealed too soon, it could be attacked too early. Timing matters. And God is showing you that secrecy is part of the strategy. Heaven doesn't broadcast power through noise. It releases it through obedience. And you've shown that you don't need a crowd to obey. You just need God's voice. And that's why you're being positioned in ways others won't understand. You are being led quietly but powerfully. Stay silent. Stay surrendered. Stay ready. Chapter 2, the next instruction will look small, but it's strategic. Chosen one, you've been praying for the big move, the open door, the divine connection, and it's coming. But here's what you must understand, heaven often hides the miraculous inside the mundane. So don't be surprised if what God tells you next doesn't look like a breakthrough. It may seem unremarkable. It may look ordinary. It may even feel like it doesn't match the size of the promise. But this is not the time to lean on logic. It's the time to move by faith. The next instruction God gives you might come in the form of a nudge, a gentle prompting that seems small. Maybe it's a phone call. A seed to sow, a conversation to end. A morning routine to adjust. A boundary to create. And while it may feel insignificant in the moment, it's actually setting the foundation for something supernatural. The very thing you're tempted to dismiss could be the divine key that unlocks your next level. Remember this, the ark didn't look like deliverance, but it carried an entire generation through the flood. It looked like a boat, but it was a divine strategy. David didn't look like a king, but his obedience to bring food to his brothers put him in front of Goliath. That wasn't a coincidence. It was a setup. And in the same way, this small instruction is your setup. God moves in patterns, not popularity. He speaks in whispers, not billboards. He's not trying to impress your eyes. He's trying to stretch your spirit. Because He knows that if you can be trusted with the small, you can carry the supernatural. This next step may not come with applause. It may not come with confirmation. But your faith will recognize it, even when your flesh doesn't. This instruction may be to send a message, to write that book in silence, to launch that vision without a platform, to release a relationship that drains your purpose, or to walk away from a room that no longer aligns with your destiny. And while others may question you, heaven is applauding you. You're not called to be understood. You're called to be aligned. Others may call it foolish, but God calls it foundational. What feels small is actually sacred. What seems quiet is actually loud in the spirit. The angels know what this step will unlock. Demons tremble at your obedience. And your future is already being rewritten because of what you're about to do. Don't underestimate the power of this next act of obedience. It's going to shift the next 7 years of your life. Yes, 7. That's why 77 keeps showing up. It's a divine confirmation that your double portion is tied to quiet instruction. This isn't just another day. It's a prophetic window. This isn't just a task. It's a trigger for transformation. Chapter 3. Don't post the process. Protect it. Chosen one, in this culture of oversharing where everyone feels pressured to publicize every move, silence has become a form of radical obedience. While others are busy posting, promoting, and proving, God is calling you to protect. What He's doing in your life right now is too sacred to be shared prematurely. This isn't a season for updates. This is a season for underground growth. The most powerful transformations often happen in silence. Seeds grow in soil, not on stages. Babies are formed in the womb, not on the screen. And prophetic assignments are birthed in secret, not what He's forming in you is still tender, still taking shape, still finding divine alignment. And if it's exposed too early, it can be attacked, misunderstood, or even aborted. Look at Joseph. He was shown a dream, a divine picture of his future. But when he shared it too soon, it triggered betrayal. If Joseph had kept posting the process, the pit could have become a permanent grave. But God, in His sovereignty, used that betrayal to redirect the vision. Why? Because Joseph didn't give up. He didn't leak the prophecy again. He learned how to trust God with the timeline. And he came out not just as a survivor, but as a ruler. Chosen one, the spotlight is not your assignment right now. Silence is. Don't confuse visibility with value. Just because it's quiet doesn't mean it's not working. God is doing something massive behind the scenes, and He doesn't need an audience. He needs your agreement. You are in a divine season where secrecy is strategy. Protection is the priority. The blueprint you've received isn't for public consumption. It's for private preparation. Don't leak the prophecy just because you're craving validation. Don't reveal the plan just to silence doubters. Don't open the scroll prematurely just because you're anxious. What you're carrying is fragile, and fragility demands privacy. Even Jesus, after healing certain people, told them not to speak of it yet. Why? Because timing matters. Exposure without timing leads to warfare you're not yet prepared for. And understand this, the enemy can't fight what he can't see. So if you want to move in power, stay hidden until God says, now. Not when you feel like it. Not when others start asking questions. Not when you get impatient. But when God says the time is right, and only then, the release will come with protection, provision, and power. This next dimension of your life isn't for applause. It's for assignment. And assignments require discipline. So guard your oil. Hide your wisdom. Conceal your instructions. Let your obedience be louder than your announcements. Protect what you're birthing. This is sacred. This is strategic. This is spiritual warfare. And heaven is watching how you steward the unseen. If you can protect the process, God will publicly reward what you handled privately. Silence isn't weakness. It's wisdom. And obedience in this hour means saying no to the post and yes to the process. Chapter 4. Some moves are anointed but unannounced. Chosen one, you must understand a holy principle, just because it's anointed doesn't mean it will be announced. The most powerful shifts in Scripture didn't happen with applause or attention. They happened in silence. Moses didn't come back to Egypt with a marching band or a post saying, "I'm back." He came with a staff and a word from heaven. He didn't need to be loud. He needed to be sent. And Jesus, the Anointed One Himself, often healed in silence, withdrew from crowds, and told people not to share what had just happened. Why? Because the power wasn't in the promotion. It was in the obedience. Chosen one, God is calling you to move with that same kind of divine discretion. This next shift won't come with fireworks. It will come with fruit. You won't need to explain yourself. You won't need to argue. You won't need to convince anyone. The anointing will speak for itself. Heaven's fingerprint will be on the decision, and those with spiritual eyes will recognize that something major just shifted, even if you never posted about it. There's a maturity that comes with silent obedience. It takes wisdom to move without needing validation. It takes strength to execute without being seen. And it takes trust to obey without understanding the full picture. But those are the moves that change everything. Think about Mary. The angel didn't tell her to go live. He told her to conceive. Her greatest assignment was carried in silence. And she nurtured what God placed in her until it was time for delivery, not attention. This next move you're about to make won't be broadcasted, but it will be backed by heaven. God is giving you the instruction. Not the crowd. Not the critics. Not your circle. Just you. That's why it feels private, because it is. Some assignments are between you and God. And the manifestation will be your announcement. The results are going to speak, not just emotionally, but spiritually, prophetically, and permanently. The oil on your life will confirm what you didn't have to advertise. The doors that open will show what was birthed in prayer, not popularity. You won't have to scream. Your success will echo. You won't have to plead. Your fruit will prove. And when you do finally speak, you won't be speaking from a place of need or insecurity. You'll be speaking from manifestation, authority, and clarity. God doesn't want you distracted by the need to be seen. He doesn't want you wasting time explaining what only heaven has the right to reveal. He's not interested in likes or shares. He's interested in impact. And impact doesn't need a mic. It needs movement. So release the pressure to announce it. Stay low. Stay yielded. Stay hidden. Let the oil on your obedience mark the atmosphere. Let the spirit behind your silence release fire in places where words cannot reach. This next move has no room for ego, only execution. And God is about to use your quiet yes to produce a loud shift. Chapter 5. This is a strategic detour, not a delay. Chosen one, you may be asking yourself, why is this taking so long? Why does it feel like I've been hidden? Why does it seem like the more I obey, the more silent? But here's the truth, this is not a delay. It's a detour, and it's strategic. God isn't punishing you. He's positioning you. What you're experiencing right now is a divine redirection. Not because you missed the mark, but because God is making sure you don't miss your moment. You're not being slowed down. You're being shielded. You're not being overlooked. You're being overprotected. And when God is protecting something precious, He often conceals it. Ask any mother carrying a child. There's a sacred protection around something that's still forming. You see, what God is preparing in your life is too weighty to be exposed to familiar patterns. The route you used before cannot hold what's coming next. If He took you the usual way, you'd run into the same patterns, the same warfare, the same watchers. And this time, the glory on your next move is too sacred to let it fall into familiar sabotage. That's why things have felt slower, because God is rebuilding the road beneath you. That's why doors have been silent, because God is installing new gates. That's why people have disappeared, because God is filtering your access. You've been praying for open doors, but God has been busy removing distractions and rerouting your steps so the destination doesn't destroy you. This detour is actually a divine disguise. Your enemies can't block a move they don't see coming. Your haters can't sabotage a blessing they don't even know exists. Some of the people that were watching you in the last season were only there to delay you. That's why God took you the long way around. He's not just leading you to destiny. He's protecting the delivery. If you had taken the shortcut, your spirit wouldn't be strong enough to handle the weight of the crown. If you had stayed on the fast route, your discernment wouldn't be sharp enough to notice the fake support. But now you're being trained in silence. You're being fortified in stillness. And when you finally arrive, you won't be drained. You'll be ready. This detour is God's way of controlling the narrative. You won't have to defend your absence. You won't have to explain your silence. The moment He says go, you'll realize the path you're on wasn't random. It was revelation. It was the long way, yes. But it was the safe way. The protected way. The heaven-backed way. You may not understand it now, but soon you'll look back and say, God, thank you for taking me the long way. Thank you for saying no to what I thought I needed. Thank you for hiding me when I wanted to be seen. Thank you for protecting the prophecy, even from me. So stay faithful even when it feels like nothing is happening. Stay obedient even when the silence is deafening. The detour isn't a delay. It's divine direction. And when it all comes together, you won't just arrive in promise, you'll arrive in peace. Chapter 6. This move will reveal who's really for you. Chosen one. Your silence isn't just a command. It's a filter. The moment you stop explaining yourself, the real spirit of those around you will begin to surface. When you stop inviting people into your process, you start noticing who is really with you and who is just with your information. Silence doesn't just protect the promise. It purifies the circle. When you stop oversharing, you stop being manipulated. When you stop seeking outside confirmation, you start receiving divine clarity. And when you stop handing out behind-the-scenes access like free tickets, you finally get a front-row view of people's true intentions. Some people were never for you. They were for what you gave them. Your transparency fed their control. Your access fueled their opinions. Your openness became their leverage. But now that God has silenced your updates and sealed your movements, their entitlement is showing. And it's not a loss, it's a revelation. God is using this quiet season to test the hearts of those around you. The ones who grow cold when you set boundaries. The ones who act distant when you stop explaining. The ones who accuse you of changing just because you stopped consulting them like a second Holy Spirit. You're not rude. You're not arrogant. You're simply aligned. And alignment has a way of irritating every spirit that benefited from your confusion. Chosen one, this next move is between you and God. Not you and your followers. Not you and your family. Not even you and your prayer group. There are certain instructions that don't need a second opinion, they just need obedience. And anyone who can't honor your obedience doesn't deserve access to your overflow. This silence is God's sacred strategy to expose unauthorized voices. He's showing you who honors you only when they're included. He's revealing who was genuinely called to walk with you and who just clung to you out of curiosity, competition, or control. And he's doing this now, before the breakthrough. So when it hits, you're surrounded only by those who can handle the weight of the next level. Watch closely. The ones who truly love you won't demand updates. They'll offer intercession. They won't need your details. They'll respect your discernment. They'll say, if God told you to move, I'm covering you in prayer, even if I don't understand it yet. That's alignment. That's kingdom connection. That's divine loyalty. Let this chapter do what it was sent to do. Clean your circle in silence. Let God remove what can't go. Don't chase after those who were only present when your path was predictable. Don't feel guilty for pulling back from people who were never assigned to your future. And above all, don't interrupt heaven's separation process just because it feels uncomfortable. Growth always comes with pruning. You're not losing people. You're gaining clarity. You're not becoming distant. You're becoming distinct. You're not isolating. You're elevating. And this elevation requires solitude, not spectators. This move was never meant for the masses. It was tailored for the mantled. Chapter 7. Silent obedience is opening loud doors. Chosen one. Your quiet obedience is creating cosmic movement. You may not see the full picture yet, but your private yes is echoing through realms you cannot see and shaking systems you didn't even know were blocking you. While you've been fasting in solitude, sowing in silence, and praying with tears, heaven has been shifting structures, rerouting favor, and unlocking access that only obedience could reach. Your secret surrender has started a public unraveling of divine doors. And the doors aren't ordinary. These are the kind of doors that don't just open, they announce. They release waves of confirmation, acceleration, and divine positioning. And yet, the beauty is you didn't have to knock. Your obedience did the knocking. Your purity did the speaking. Your discipline did the negotiating. Heaven remembered every hidden yes you gave in faith. This next move isn't flashy, but it's foundational. It's the kind of move that builds legacies, not just moments.